laptop screen cast a pale blue light across the dimly lit Phoenix home office. Paige sat perfectly still, her analytical mind dissecting the sleek vendor proposal. The interface was flawless, yet something felt fundamentally wrong. The micro-interactions were artificially rushed, clearly designed to bypass critical thinking. When the sales associate initiated a video call, his artificial urgency pushed toward a massive financial transfer. As her finger hovered over the confirmation button, the video duration bar glitched, jumping backward in a seamless loop. The digital trap was closing in, and the countdown was already in its final seconds. The glowing laptop screen cast a pale blue light across the dimly lit Phoenix home office. At 68, Paige had spent decades as a meticulous UX researcher before transitioning to semi-retirement. She deeply appreciated flawless digital aesthetics, but something about this specific interface felt fundamentally wrong. The micro-interactions were artificially rushed, clearly designed to bypass critical thinking and force hasty decisions. Living on a fixed retirement income made every financial choice matter deeply, yet a polished email from the vendor sat open in a secondary window, promising Tier 1 pricing if the massive financial transfer was authorized before the midnight deadline. The shadows in the room seemed to deepen as she focused entirely on the monitor. Suddenly, the video call window expanded to fill the entire monitor. Brian, the sales associate, leaned closely into the camera. His smile was bright, yet it completely failed to reach his eyes. The artificial urgency in his voice filled the quiet room. He insisted the system would lock in exactly 3 minutes, warning that the company would lose the exclusive discount if the confirmation was not clicked immediately. His words created a claustrophobic tension, pressing heavily against her chest and clouding her judgment. Paige's hands moved to the keyboard, typing her password with practiced efficiency. The confirmation screen materialized, demanding final authorization. Her finger hovered over the mouse button. The pressure was immense, a manufactured panic designed to force blind compliance. But as she stared at the screen, her observant nature caught a subtle anomaly. The video duration bar at the bottom of the call window suddenly glitched. Instead of moving forward, the timeline jumped backward, resetting to the exact same timestamp. She blinked, trying to clear her vision, but the glitch persisted on the screen. Brian's voice repeated his previous warning with identical inflection. The system locks in 3 minutes. The realization hit her with cold clarity. The polished digital facade was cracking. The interface was not just rushed, it was a looping recording designed to trap her in a psychological snare. Her finger remained frozen over the mouse. The confirmation screen pulsed, demanding the final click, while the video timeline continued its impossible backward jump. Every passing second felt like an hour in the silent house. The digital trap was closing in, and the countdown was already in its final seconds. Paige's finger hovered mere millimeters above the left mouse button. The pale blue light from the monitor washed over her face, highlighting the cold sweat forming on her forehead. Brian's voice echoed through the desktop speakers, a flawless, terrifyingly calm loop. The audio stuttered, resetting to the exact same artificial inflection. She pulled her hand back as if the plastic mouse were red hot. It was a recording. The polished facade of the vendor was nothing but a pre-recorded psychological snare, meticulously designed to hijack her decision-making process. She reached for the laptop lid, desperate to slam it shut and break the suffocating spell. Before her fingers could touch the cold aluminum edge, the heavy door of the home office creaked open. Skye stepped into the dimly lit room, holding a steaming ceramic mug. The observant electrician's practical eyes immediately swept the space, landing on Paige's pale, frozen expression and the pulsing financial confirmation screen. Skye did not ask questions. The looping audio filled the heavy silence, a stark contrast to the grounded reality of the physical room. "It is a recording," Paige breathed, her voice shaking as she finally tore her gaze away from the digital trap. Skye set the mug down on the wooden desk with a solid, definitive thud. Without a single word of hesitation, Skye reached behind the desk and yanked the Ethernet cable from the wall port. The sharp click of the plastic connector disengaging echoed loudly. Instantly, the monitor flickered. Brian's face froze, distorted into a pixelated mess, before the video call window collapsed into a gray error message. The manufactured countdown vanished completely. "This is not about buying software, Paige," Sky said, the practical directness cutting through to lingering digital haze. "This is about buying panic." Paige exhaled, a long, shuddering breath that seemed to deflate the claustrophobic tension in the room. Her racing heart finally began to slow, anchoring her back to the physical world. The digital illusion had shattered, leaving only the quiet hum of the disconnected router. But as she stared at the dead screen, a new chilling realization crept in. The scammer's digital trap was broken, but they already had her company's internal network credentials. The real-world consequences were just beginning. Before Paige could even process the relief of the severed connection, her phone vibrated violently against the wooden desk. The sharp buzz shattered the quiet room. She stared at the glowing rectangle. A push notification from her bank flashed across the lock screen, demanding immediate fallback authorization. "Do not touch it," Sky warned, stepping closer, his voice a low, urgent rumble. "It is a secondary trap. They anticipated the disconnect." Paige's thumb hovered over the glass. She swiped to unlock, and the mobile interface bloomed into view. It was flawless. The exact hex codes, the precise typography, the familiar layout of her corporate banking portal. But at the bottom, the digital snare revealed itself. The glitching time bar reappeared, a sickening visual echo of the laptop loop, now counting down from 60 seconds. "The interface is perfect, Sky. It looks exactly like the bank," Paige whispered, her analytical mind warring with the manufactured panic. "It is a mirror, Paige, not a window," Sky replied, reaching out to gently but firmly cover the phone with his calloused hand. "Real banks do not force 60-second countdowns on mobile fallbacks. The system is conditioning the user." The phone vibrated again beneath his palm. 50 seconds left. The artificial urgency was a physical weight pressing against her ribs. Her UX training screamed at the flawed micro-interactions, the rushed haptic feedback, the aggressive red countdown timer designed to bypass cognitive friction. Yet
10 seconds remained. The glowing rectangle pulsed beneath Sky's calloused palm, the artificial red numbers bleeding into the dim Phoenix room. The haptic feedback buzzed against his skin, a frantic digital heartbeat demanding compliance. Paige stared at the flawless mobile interface, her UX training screaming at the aggressive micro-interactions. The scammer's power relied entirely on her active participation. She took a sharp, grounding breath, anchoring herself to the physical weight of the air in her lungs. "I choose reality," Paige whispered, her voice barely audible over the hum of the disconnected router. She reached out and gently moved Sky's hand aside. Instead of tapping the glass, her thumb found the physical power button on the side of the device. She pressed and held it. The screen flickered, the aggressive red countdown freezing in place before the display collapsed into absolute blackness. The haptic buzzing died instantly. The digital illusion was dead, killed by a simple physical override. The silence that followed the screen going dark was absolute. The pale blue light from the laptop monitor still cast long shadows across the wooden desk, but the frantic, pulsing red glow of the phone was gone. Paige kept her thumb pressed against the metal power button for 3 full seconds, ensuring the device remained completely unresponsive. The glass surface was cool beneath her skin, a stark contrast to the burning anxiety that had gripped her chest just moments before. Sky slowly lowered his hand, his practical eyes scanning her face to ensure the psychological snare was truly broken. Her analytical mind had already dissected the flawed micro-interactions before the physical override. The rushed haptic feedback and the aggressive red typography were textbook manipulation tactics designed to induce a state of tunnel vision. Real financial institutions never employed such hostile design patterns. Recognizing these deliberate flaws had given her the final surge of clarity needed to reject the digital snare. She looked at the dark screen, feeling the steady rhythm of her own heartbeat returning to a normal pace. The claustrophobic tension that had pressed against her ribs was finally gone, replaced by the cool, quiet air of the Phoenix evening. The phone sat on the desk, nothing more than a dormant piece of glass and metal, stripped of its manufactured power. Yet, as Paige exhaled a long, shuddering breath, the relief was only partial. The digital trap on the screen was dead, but the breach itself remained a critical vulnerability. The fake vendor had not just tried to trick her into a transfer. They had already harvested her internal network credentials during the initial video call. The real-world consequences of that data exposure were just beginning to unfold in the quiet Phoenix home office.
The frantic energy that had filled the room was slowly dissipating, replaced by a grounded, decisive calm. Paige stood up from her ergonomic chair, her movements deliberate and steady as she navigated the dimly lit space. She walked over to the mahogany bookshelf in the corner of the office, her fingers brushing against the spines of her reference books before locating her dark leather wallet. The leather was worn and familiar, a tangible reminder of her years of dedicated service to the company. She ran her thumb over the embossed numbers on the front of the card, appreciating the physical reality of the object. It could not be hacked, cloned by a looping video, or manipulated by a fake countdown timer. She opened the wallet and retrieved her physical corporate debit card, the rigid plastic feeling reassuringly solid in her hand. Flipping it over, her eyes locked onto the verified customer service number printed in small, crisp text on the back. This was the analog anchor she needed to reclaim her independence. Returning to the desk, she bypassed the dormant smartphone and picked up her traditional landline phone, dialing the official number with practiced precision. The physical rotary dial clicked rhythmically, a comforting mechanical sound that grounded her further in reality. Sky remained standing near the desk, his presence a silent, grounding force in the room. He did not interrupt or offer unsolicited advice, simply watching as she took control of the situation through the proper, verified channels. The line rang twice before a professional, measured voice answered. "Corporate Security and Fraud Prevention, this is Marcus. How can I assist today?" Paige gripped the plastic receiver, her knuckles white but her voice remarkably steady. "This is Paige in the UX research department. I need to freeze all outgoing transfers immediately from my primary corporate account. We have a compromised session involving a fraudulent vendor interface." "Understood, Paige. I am initiating a hard freeze on the outbound routing right now," Marcus replied, the sound of rapid keyboard clicks echoing clearly through the receiver. "The identity and remaining funds are secure, but we will need to trace the origin of the credential breach to secure the wider network." The credentials were entered into a mirrored interface during a looping video call, Paige explained, her analytical mind already reconstructing the attack vector for the security team. "The session is severed, but the data was captured. The precise details are appreciated. The freeze is complete and the incident is being escalated to the response team," Marcus confirmed, his tone projecting absolute control. Paige hung up the landline, the soft click of the receiver settling into the quiet room. She looked at the dead smartphone on the desk, then over at Sky, who was watching her with a quiet, respectful nod. The immediate financial bleeding was completely stopped, and her digital independence was restored. The physical override and the official verification had neutralized the phantom transfer. Her accounts were secure, and the immediate threat was neutralized.
Morning sun filtered through the blinds of the Phoenix home office, casting golden stripes across the wooden desk. The pale blue monitor glow was replaced by gentle natural light. Paige sat in the ergonomic chair, the leather cool against her back. The frantic energy of the previous night evaporated, leaving a grounded stillness. Her phone rested innocently on the desk and vibrated with a soft single pulse. It was not the aggressive haptic demand of the phantom vendor, but a standard verified notification. Paige picked it up and unlocked the screen. A text message from the corporate bank sat at the top of the inbox. The outbound routing freeze was confirmed and no unauthorized transfers were processed. Paige let out a long, slow breath, feeling the last remnants of tension drain from her shoulders. She opened the email client, located the deceptive, polished proposal from the fake vendor, and forwarded it directly to the National Cyber Fraud Unit. The digital trap was officially documented. Footsteps sounded in the hallway, and Sky walked into the office carrying 2 steaming ceramic mugs. The morning light caught the steam rising from the dark roast coffee. He set one mug down in front of Paige, the warmth radiating through the thick ceramic. "The transfer is blocked," Paige read aloud, her voice steady and clear in the quiet room. She turned the phone screen toward him to show the verified confirmation. Sky nodded, a genuine relaxed smile breaking across his face as he handed her the warm mug. "The clock was beaten," he said, his practical tone carrying a note of quiet pride. Paige wrapped both hands around the mug, letting the heat seep into her palms. She took a sip, the rich, bitter taste anchoring her firmly in the physical world. The polished digital illusions and manufactured panic felt like a distant nightmare. She had faced the flawless facade of online deception and chosen the verifiable truth of the physical surroundings. Looking out the window at the sprawling Phoenix skyline, Paige smiled, finally letting her guard down. The countdown was permanently silenced.